Hello and welcome back to Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week with some creative requests where a band reaches out to me and asks me to check out their music. We've had this group before on the channel, Illogistical Resource Dept. They were actually in the very first Sounds from My Inbox, but here we are having a full video dedicated just to them. We're going to check out a new song from them called The Gears of Isis, I believe is how that's pronounced. Let's dive in. Let's see what they're bringing to the table today. Pretty ominous start. We have the drone going on. That descending line. Ooh. All right, I'm sold on the bass alone. Lots of build-up.
Mechanically interactive gears are always thought of as a man-made invention. Well, we've discovered gears in an insect.
Yeah, I like the use of the toms here. Another situation though where we have building up of intensity.
This is the first demonstration of interacting gears being used by any animal.
I wish that moving from that last idea to this one, the post-chorus into this, was a little smoother. Dude. Drums are very crisp. Digging that. Another strange movement between sections. I guess strange isn't the right word. It's just disruptive might be the right word. Feels like almost every time we have some sort of groove going, it gets interrupted to start something else. Bringing back some of the eerie mystery from the beginning of the track in a different manner this time around.
The jump is really very rapid.
Back into an energetic drive.
It takes off at a velocity of about 5 meters per second. It's equivalent to about 12 miles per hour. And it accelerates in less than a millisecond.
Yeah, okay.
So it experiences enormous G-forces as it takes off. About 500 or even 700 Gs. It really takes us into a completely different world.
Back to the chorus. Yeah, that was fun. All right. It's an interesting track, purely instrumental. Lots of groove on it though, and I'm a big fan of groovy ideas. The bass sold me right from the start. Loved when the bass kicked in and took over on those super syncopated ideas. And I think moment to moment, this song works really well. There's basically two ideas at play here. We either have groovy, forward momentum, directioned ones, and we have sections that are more about build up and increasing intensity. Those should typically pay off into the larger, groovier sections, rising energy into the burst. We did have one, maybe two more drony atmospheric sections on here, but generally those were less present, and they're a nice way of changing things up, but I don't really think it works or it plays too much into the back and forth that we have with these two almost polar opposite types of composition going on here. I think in general, when we look at the building up sections, they do a great job of creating anticipation and potential energy, just waiting to be released into kinetic. It's these, rising moments. You can feel the tension starting to build. There's anticipation to it. There's sometimes even in a couple of the places, some sort of mystery or intrigue to it emotionally from the chords. I think these sections do a great job at building a type of curiosity in the listener, making them want to say, hey, what comes next? The other sections should be the good payoff to that. Wondering what comes next, having all of that potential energy burst into kinetic energy in these big groovy moments. Just make you want to move your body and bob your head and just like get into it. There's lots of funky syncopation in the drum work, in the guitar work, in the bass work. These sections are high energy and work phenomenally well. The issue isn't so much about these two sections. Like I said, moment to moment, all of these sections are well written. Moving away from an objective point of view into a subjective one, I don't understand the journey of the song. I don't understand the structure of it. Right off the bat, we had 3 sections that were about building anticipation, except all of them reset the energy back down to 0. None of them built off of each other, and it just felt like a series of, what's the word I want? It's tension that just dissolves. We don't ever actually see the release of it. They're unresolved ideas. We start from nothing, build some interest. The listener wants to know what comes next. Forget about that. We're gonna do something else here. We build some intrigue, start some mystery, get some tension going. Oh, where's this going? Yeah, forget about that, listener. We got something else in store for you. And it never really starts to click. I think that third time through, we finally push into what would become the chorus, this idea, this larger bombastic idea that we returned to a couple of times, but it took way too many times to get to there. And I think the transition between that third buildup and the chorus wasn't well done either. It's jarring. I shouldn't say well done. It was jarring. We went from one idea to another with very few sections that felt like they built on each other. And I think this is primarily my issue with this track, is that nothing really builds off of what came before it. It's a series of cool ideas that feels more like a riff sampler than anything else. And many of these riffs are cool. The ideas and atmospheres are neat. They just don't tell a story. It's like reading a random chapter out of 7 books, and every once in a while returning back to chapter 3 of book 2. You're not really going to get a cohesive story out of that. And that's how I feel coming off of this track. There's just nothing here that's cohesive. And anytime that we do have a sort of build up into a payoff, it's just not connected very well either. It doesn't really feel like a payoff as much as it feels like just a bigger section. There's very little riffage or a drum pattern that connects them. It doesn't feel like we built into it as much as we just went to something larger and bombastic. And that can work, I think, the stark contrast between the two modes, if the rest of the song built upon things a little better. You can use that stark contrast as a point of contrast in your music. If everything's been linearly building, having a point where everything kind of quits and you start over, well, that works. You've been building something for so long, you got to change that up. But when everything feels like a buildup into nothing, it just constantly feels anticlimactic. And as I mentioned, it's very distracting. It's very disjointed. And it feels like most of these ideas tend to disrupt the song, then expand upon it. Now, if the purpose of this track is to be incredibly disruptive, to leave the listener in a state of wanting more and not getting it, a feeling of unresolution consistently, absolutely, I'll nail this. But I think if the purpose was to tell a larger tale through these rising sections and peak moments, I don't know that this song necessarily excels at that. Now, going back to the idea that some of these sections are done very well, I think the spoken word sections are fantastic. Not only are these moments already pretty good with building anticipation, but there's also this added element of a narrative component to it too. And I think that the production style put on the vocals in these places is exceptional. It adds a little bit of, I don't know, almost like a crackly tape recorder thing where it feels like I've stumbled upon these recordings. It feels like they're older and a bit destroyed. There's that tape crackle to them. And I think that ties into the feelings of these moments being a bit more mysterious and brooding and sometimes even a little eerie, as if I'm finding stuff that I shouldn't have found ever. And I think these moments work really well. Once again, it's about how we come into these moments and how we leave them. That's a bit, that doesn't quite click for me, but the spoken word sections in here are fantastic. Really makes me want to, dig into them and listen to, what is it, like 3 of them, I think, in here back to back and kind of see what the story is that's being laid out here. And maybe knowing the story, some of this start and stop stuff might make a little bit more sense too. Maybe this is a bunch of small vignettes in a larger tale. But I still think from a strictly sonic perspective, rather than an artistic or thematic one, The song as a whole kind of bounces off of me because of the jaggedness of getting through it. The journey itself is a bit rough around the edges. Some people are going to like that. I'm not the audience for that. A last bit of praise, though, to wrap this up on a good note. The production on this is fantastic. Absolutely love the way everything sounds. The drums are crisp. The bass sounds great. The guitar sounds excellent. I love the tones of these instruments. I love the spaciousness and the production. Everything is clear, but still gritty. There's still bite when it's needed. I was talking about the vocal production too. I think that matches really well with everything going on in here and fits the atmospheres of the moments that the spoken word's going on. It sounds great. And I think that enjoying each of these individual riffs and really liking the production and kind of being interested in what the story is, it really makes the structure that much more obvious because so much of this is so well done. I'm clicking with almost everything except how it all fits together. That makes it just a little disappointing for me. But I remember quite enjoying the last track we checked out from them, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on them and see if they've released anything else. Maybe it's just this track that's a bit more purposefully and intentionally disruptive in its flow, and maybe that just doesn't work for me like one of their other tracks might. I'm going to take a moment to see if I can find some of the spoken word elements, the lyrics to that, and then we will wrap this video up. There are some sampled parts in here. I don't have access to the samples yet, but I did catch some of the spoken word parts that are original from the band. And it states, Trochanters engaged, cogs intermeshed, propel the body without yaw. So it's about, the music video is about some sort of drone, mechanical drone that was created and flew around. And I guess that this kind of leads into that. We have cogs and parts of this machine that are intermeshed and engaged, and they propel the body, they move it without yaw, which is without rotation. It can pitch and it can roll, but it can't rotate across the x-axis. Or I guess in aviation, it would be the z-axis. I always get that confused because I'm used to like mathematical 3D space where this would be X, but I think in aviation, this is actually Z. If anyone knows for sure, put it in the comments so that I can at least try to be more correct next time if I'm wrong here. So it's interesting without yaw. You just can't, it has forward momentum, rotational, and pitch, but can't. Huh. Okay. Final molt is interesting. I'm pretty sure that's more of a biological thing. I don't know exactly what molting is, but don't insects molt? Let me look that up real quick. All right, so molting is a process where animals, just not just insects, they shed old skin, feathers, or exoskeletons for new growth. So final molt is using a biological term to explain that this is the final revision of this mechanical thing. Flightless nymph, mechanical gears left forgotten. That's interesting too, because given the drone in the music video and the use of without yaw, which is typically aviation terminology, I kind of assumed that there's flight involved here, but it calls it a flightless nymph. That there's mechanical gears left forgotten, unless this is the end of all of it. All of this stuff was here, built it, and now it's left with no energy, no power source, on a shelf somewhere completely forgotten and can no longer fly. This is its final days. The reason why it's the final molt is because there's no one left working on it. There's no more expansion or revision of this idea. It's about forgotten technology then. Interesting. I don't know how to pair this back to the musical ideas, but I do think it's a pretty neat thing to base some lyrics around, and it does make me more intrigued about the sampled parts in here. These, though, are just my thoughts on Illogistical Resource Departments, the Gears of Isis, or maybe Isis? Still don't know how to pronounce that one. What are your thoughts, though? Did you enjoy this? Do you want to check out more from them? Do you want to add on to anything that I said? Or do you have a very different opinion from me? Let me know. Put all of that into the comments section, as well as anything else you'd like to add to the conversation. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you to this. That's my stuff. But also, I'm going to have links to Illogistical Resource Departments, social medias, websites, streaming platforms, whatever else. If you enjoyed this, be able to go there and quickly get to more of their music. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you head on over to any of their pages, like, subscribe, heart, thumbs up, whatever it is, on wherever you land, show them some love from the Critical Reactions community. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.